Hello and welcome to episode 54 of the Mouses Makes Knitting podcast, co-hosted by Miss Poppy. Miss Poppy has been quite a bit better behaved in the last week than she had been when I saw you last. Probably because 2 days ago, Monday, was Poppy's birthday. Poppy was 3. It was your birthday, wasn't it? On birthdays, our cats have a tin of tuna, a little tin of tuna between them. So it's tuna day on Monday, or it was tuna day on Monday. I did take a little video. I don't know if I can add it onto the end of this one. I'm going to have to do a bit of research. If I can't, I'll pop it onto Instagram and the Facebook group. The details for all of those can be found underneath this video. Not if you're watching it on your television. You will have to watch it on a phone, a laptop, an iPad. If you're watching it on one of those devices, here we go again, there should be like a little arrow down. If you click on the arrow down, it will give you the description box with links to all the patterns I mention, links to other places where you can find me. But not if you're watching this via your television on whatever device you use. Only if you're on phone, iPad, laptop, desktop, that sort of thing. So there's been a little bit of frogging this week, but it's all been positive frogging rather than negative frogging. It's been frogging for the greater good, shall we say. I'll talk more about that as we get to the projects that have had a little bit of froggy. I'm going to start with what you can see behind me. This is my finished object for this week. I showed it to you last week. I was going to leave the... Sorry, Pops. I was going to leave the stitch progress markers in, but I have washed and blocked it, and I was frightened of stretching the stitches with the progress keepers, so I did take them out. Last time you saw it, I'd done about this much of one sleeve. So I finished the sleeves. I'd actually finished the sleeves on Saturday evening. So you saw it Wednesday, and it became my continuous knit for the rest of the week. Technically it was finished on Saturday evening, but for 2 things. I decided the pattern tells you to use a 1x1 rib. I'm not awfully keen on that. I think 2x2 looks neater. So I'd put a 2x2 rib on the sleeves. The body, which I'd finished previously, had a 1x1 rib on. And then I tried it on and I wanted it a little bit longer. So I pulled out the rib on the body, which I was going to have to do anyway because I wanted to change it to 2x2. So I pulled it out, added another 3 inches of stocking stitch, and then put a 2x2 rib back on. So it's all finished. There is no neckband to go on. It has this little rollover neck. Fits really nicely. I will try and get some photographs later, but not if it's raining. If it's raining, we're going to have to wait for a dry day. So yeah, that's finished. And that is, let me get the pattern. That is the Anasha by Jennifer Steingass. Really enjoyed knitting it. I don't know why I put it aside for so long. I think because I got, if I'm honest, got distracted by all the new shiny things I'd cast on. But once I set my mind to getting it finished, I really enjoyed it. And I'm a bit odd, I quite like knitting sleeves because they go quicker and quicker as you go because you get less and less stitches. if you're knitting top down. Bottom up isn't quite so much fun, but even then I don't mind them because it's only a small number of stitches compared to the body. So yeah, all finished and off my lists completely. I'll hang that back there so you can admire it. Poppy's laid down, you can just see her back now. I'm sorry about that. She's not a very dedicated host, so yeah. So that's my finished object. If you've been here a while, you'll know that I have a knitting rota, and that reminds me I was going to welcome some new subscribers. There's been quite a flurry of new subscribers in the past week, I think because a couple of very kind ladies gave me a shout out on their podcasts, and so some people have come over, so thank you to you too. Welcome. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you stick around. This is the way it's worked previously. I have a knitting rota. I have lots of whips on the go, and every day has a couple of whips assigned to it, and I will work on those two on that day, and then the following day I'll move on to whatever's assigned to that day. In the past couple of weeks I've changed that and have chosen a particular project to work on until it's finished. So every day I'll work on something from my rota and on the thing that's meant to be working towards being finished. The reason behind this is that a very wicked friend of mine, not really, she's absolutely lovely, Tonya, who has the Calm as a Stitch podcast with her son Anthony, has cast on parties. There was one in February. That was one of my cast ons from February. There was one in April, and there's another one coming up in towards the end of June the 25th. I would really like to get my needles as cleared as possible before the next cast on party, because I didn't do terribly well doing that before the last one, and I did overwhelm myself a little bit with projects. I got to the point where everything was getting so little time spent on it that nothing seemed to be progressing, which is why I decided to change to this new system. So now this one is finished, there's room for something else to become the chosen project. And what I've chosen from my list is what I'm calling my Autumn Stripes sweater. This, oh gosh, hang on. This I'm designing myself to enter into, I'm hoping to get it into a couple of cals actually. Originally it's for the Cardi Cal, which is being run by Kathy from Whatnot and her daughter Mandy, who's art by Mandy Meow on Instagram. If I remember, I will link them below. Let me write it down. If I don't write things down, gone. Sorry, bear with me while I scribble. Okay. So they are based in Australia, and they're running this Cardi Cal as they're going into their colder months. It doesn't have to be a cardigan. It can be cardigan, sweater, shrug. I think some people have done some wraps. Adult, child, doesn't really matter. The rules are quite loose. I had started a granny go around cardigan, and I'm a very novice crocheter. It looks great. I still haven't pulled it down. I can't bring myself. It looks really good, but it's the wrong size, and it really hurt my wrist doing it, so that's not happening. But I still wanted to enter, and I had this beautiful yarn that I wanted to use, so I have designed this. This is the back. It's all curling in on itself, so it looks a bit odd. So as you can see, it's knit in mostly Starcraft Special DK, and the colours are khaki, mustard, gold, gingerbread, copper and burgundy. So there's 6 colours that I'm using over and over. For the, and again, this is one of the things that got frogged along with what's behind me. I had originally put on using Sirdar dual spun, can't remember which colourway, something to do with sunsets. I had originally, it's what is it, 1:30 in the afternoon. I've had no alcohol, I swear. I had originally put on a moss, perhaps I need some alcohol, put on a moss stitch border. Wasn't loving it. It kept flipping up, and I knew that it would carry on doing that. Try as I might to block it out, it would carry on doing it and drive me nuts. So I picked up the stitches in the first row and pulled out the moss stitch, and I've done again a 2x2 ribbed border on it. The yarns that I've bought that I'm making the stripes with, I originally bought, I made a shawl. I crocheted a corner to corner shawl, which I use all the time as a blanket and a throw round me and all sorts of things. And I was going to put tassels on it. All the colours that I've bought are in this Sirdar. In fact, let me... So this is the what's left of the ball. So all the colours that I particularly liked out of this, I bought Starcraft Special DK. I was going to make a tassel in each of the colours to go on the shawl. And then I remembered that tassels and cats do not mix well, so I changed my mind. But then I had these colours and not enough to do anything with on their own, although I suppose I could have made a hat, or but anyway, they all were chosen to go together, so I wanted a project to put them in together, and it has ended up being this. Last time you saw it was where that little progress keeper is, and since then I've done the whole back. I really like these colours. I was looking at it last night and thinking, I don't know if it's a bit much. Should I have made this the front and then done the back and the sleeves plain? No, it's all going to be stripy. I wanted it stripy. If people don't like it, they don't need to look at it, do they? And that's that. So this is going to be my concentrate on project now until it's finished. So obviously there's the front and 2 sleeves to go. We'll see how long that takes. Hopefully not a hideously long time. When you're knitting it, it does knit quite quickly because I'm doing 6 rows and then changing colour. So it knits quite quickly, but there are squillions of ends. I did start sewing them in this morning, and after about 3 I lost the will to live and decided to leave it and do it another day. So that's going to be, hopefully by this time next week I'll have a front to show you, and maybe I'll even have started on a sleeve. Oh, let's put a hairy bit on my nose. It's either that or it's Poppy hair. Poppy's white hair, I'm not allergic to cats apart from Poppy's white hair, and it's so fine and floaty that it gets on your face and it sticks, and it really does make my nose itch. I'm allergic to your Pops. She doesn't care. I told you she'd been good. I got thrown out of here yesterday. I'd been on Zoom in the morning, and then I was watching a video on my laptop, a YouTube video, and she came and she fetched me. She'd been asleep in her basket all the way through Zoom because she likes to listen to the ladies. And she'd gone downstairs and she came and she fetched me. and she sort of sits and stares at you because she wants something. So I followed her downstairs thinking, oh, she wants a dish filled or something. We got to the bottom of the stairs. I started walking into the living room. She shot round me back up here into a basket asleep. She just wanted me out of here. She is such a bossy boiler. Right. I'm going to give you an update on a couple of whips you've not seen for a while. First one I'm going to show you is the one that I'm making for the make along that I'm running. It's in support of Ukrainian designers. So essentially, all you need to do if you want to join us is make something, knit, crochet, cross stitch, whatever, doesn't matter, so long as it's made by a Ukrainian designer. It can be a pattern you already have, it can be a free pattern, doesn't matter. If you have to buy a pattern, that's kind of extra bonus because we're providing a little bit of financial support. But the main purpose of the make along, the sun's coming out now so I can't see whether you can see me properly, is to provide a bit of moral support. So to enter, you need to have something making or made by a Ukrainian designer. It runs on Instagram, so you need to use the hashtag knitting it with Ukraine, and you also have to tag the designer. And when I say tag the designer, I don't just mean, say, for example, I'm making this, which is the Sienna sweater by Natalie Pellick. You need to tag them in a way that they will actually get notified by Instagram. So, for example, Natalie Pellick is knitting for Sweet. So I would say the Sienna sweater by Natalie Pellick and then tag at Knitting for Sweet so that she sees. And she has seen. The people who've tagged her have had a lovely message back for her saying thank you. If you're having trouble finding out the hashtag for your designer, just message me and I'll give you a hand. If you don't use Instagram but you would like to join in, you can email me at mousesmakes@gmail.com. Send me a picture. Let me know the name of your pattern, the name of your designer, and then with your permission, I'll share that on Instagram so that you can still join in and the designer still gets the little bit of moral support. Any other questions that you're not sure about, feel free to message or email me at that address. It's fine. I might not get back to you immediately, but I will get back to you. The other thing I need to say, which I seem to forget every time, is that this runs until the end of August. So there's plenty of time to join in. There will be prizes. I've had something promised, which will probably be the main prize, and I'm gathering up some little things of my own. I don't have them to show you yet. I probably won't do till August. But if you're happy just to join in on the off chance that you might win something nice, even though you don't know what it is, brilliant. So I'd had a little bit of trouble with this. I had to pull it down, which wasn't anywhere near as difficult as I thought, and I showed you that last week. And I'd finished the lace work of the yoke. I've now finished, I've got to be a bit careful with this. I've now finished the short row shaping. So I've put something black on again today so that you can see. It's upside down, obviously, but there's the lace work. I'm hoping you can see because the sun's come out and I can't now see the screen, so I don't know whether you can see or not. There's the lace work and the short rows. Oh, I thought I'd pulled the needle out then. Oh, I'm having palpitations. Oh, I have pulled it out of one, but only one. Hang on. As Andrew would say, nobody breathe. Get back on there. Sorry, chat amongst yourselves. I'll be with you again in a second. Whew. So I was back on the needle. Okay. Yeah, hopefully by the time you see this next, I will have divided for the sleeves. I'm really enjoying knitting. I know I keep moaning that it's on toothpicks and I'm knitting with spider's web, because it is single strand mohair on 2.75mm needles. But I am really enjoying knitting it actually. And I love the colour. I don't know how well you can, because I can see nothing now. I'm hoping I'm still on the screen, but the sun's come out and the reflection on the screen means I can't see anything. So I don't know how well this is coming out, but it's a lovely blue pink, which I really like. Downside of it is it covers me in hairs, not unlike Miss Poppy's. But I can live with that. So yeah, that's my knit along make for my own knit along. The other knit along I'm hoping to put my autumn stripes sweater into is being run by Leslie from Not Quite Enough Yarn. She is running a perfect make along whereby you'll have to go and see her latest episode to get all the details, but the bit I think it runs until the end of the year. I don't remember everything about it, but essentially you need to make a garment with sleeves, an adult garment with sleeves, and you have to have used, it has to have been a Not Quite Enough Yarn garment. So I think this will qualify. Leslie will tell me, I'm sure, in the comments, because the main body of it is Starcraft, but then I've had to use Sirdar for all the ribbing. I'm hoping I can enter this into that one as well. I like to enter things, and it's not necessarily because I'm chasing a prize. It just makes it a bit more fun when you're making something, and kind of gives you a goal to get it finished. The prizes are lovely, of course. So yes, that's that. Something else I'm hoping to, well, I am going to enter into a knit along is this. You have seen this before. I keep showing you this quite regularly because I am so in love with it. This is the Exordium shawl, and it's by Rebecca Picot. And I'm entering this into Alwx from my Yarny Corner is running a make along, an inspiration make along. So something that you're making that's been inspired by someone else. And I saw this shawl on Ruth, the Ruth Loves to Knit podcast, fell madly in love with her version, and I am now knitting my version. You can see my little ducky there. It was where I was last time you saw it. I'm knitting it in Ducky Darling's yarn. The cream is Lamb Lotto and the tan is Brew. And I'll let you hopefully see a little bit closer. They share the same sort of speckling colours. I love this so much. I'm almost tempted to make it into a wall hanging rather than wear it as a garment. It's, the colours are so beautiful, and I love the stitches, particularly this stitch, which I've not ever come across before. And I'm thinking I might make a cowl. Again, inspired by somebody else, so I could probably enter that. Caroline from the Aria Bark podcast has just finished making a cowl where she's amalgamated a sock pattern over the bridge socks, or the bridge before home. It's something to do with a bridge, and the sock head cowl, and she's amalgamated the two and made the most beautiful cowl. So I could kind of sneak a cowl in, saying that she'd inspired me to use this sort of star stitch, I don't really know what it's called, pattern, and make a cowl. Again, it's not about the prizes, it's just about the joining in and sharing what you're making with other people, which really is why I do the podcast in the first place, is to share my makes with you guys. So that's the Exordium shawl. Oh, let me move this while I'm about it, because I'll forget. And of course my progress keeper on this is a little duck, which goes on whatever I'm making with Ducky Darling's yarns, because it's just so fitting really, isn't it? So yes, and these are, as I said, Lamb, Lotto and Brew, and they are both 75/25 superwash merino and nylon. That's them. Let me try and get this back in the bag. The thing that nobody tells you when you start podcasting is not so much how long it's going to take you to gather everything together to do the podcast. It's how long it's going to take you to clear up after yourself afterwards. Because you do have a tendency to go, here's this thing, throw it aside. Here's another thing. It takes longer to clear up than it does to film the podcast. So that was one thing I wanted to catch you up with. Another thing I'd like to catch you up with, you haven't actually seen since just after the cast on party, when I showed you everything that I'd cast on. That shawl came from the cast on party as well, the April one, and so did this. When you saw it last, I had done that much. I've now done this much. And the colours are coming out really nicely. This is, let's find the front. This is the Sayonara wrap by Skeins and Sticks. Oh. It's quite a simple pattern. Nonetheless, I have found the need to put in a stitch marker for each pattern repeat, because I keep getting myself into a pickle. I pulled it down twice right at the very beginning because it has a selvage stitch at the edge, and I decided that I wanted that to be a garter stitch, so I pulled it down so I could do that. Then I made a mess of the pattern repeats and had to pull it down again, and that's the point at which I decided I was going to put stitch markers in. The yarn I'm knitting it in is from Hobby, or Hobby, however you say it, and it's their Lollipop, 20% wool, 80% acrylic, in, what's this colour? 03, which is all the blues. And I've got two of these. I'm obviously working from the other one, and I'm going to see how long, because this isn't the recommended yarn. It's the right weight, but it's not the right make. I'm going to see how long the wrap is when I finish the first ball, as to whether I just go on to this second ball, or held in reserve, I've got this one, which is Karen Cakes, same 80% acrylic, 20% wool, and this is Blueberry Kiwi. I would prefer not to have to put this one in, because I have got two cakes, although they're not the same colour. This one, and I can't remember what colour the other one is. It's blues. I can't remember if it's got any green in or whether it's got almost a purpley blue. They're not both the same, but there is enough of each cake to do something with, or to put them together in something that's deliberately striped in different colours. So I would prefer not to have to use this, but I am holding it in reserve because there's only that much of this ball left. So is that half, do you think? So this might not be long enough with just 2 balls. All of these yarns have come from stash. Everything that you've seen today, and really for the last 2 or 3 months, everything has come from stash. So I can't really order another ball and hope that it will match, because it's highly unlikely to. I think this I've had for maybe 3 or 4 years, so I'm never gonna match it, am I? And I suppose there is an argument to say, well, it's striped anyway. If you put a new ball in the middle and it didn't quite match, it would look like it was meant to. But I'm trying very hard, and I'm actually, touch wood, succeeding in working from stash at the moment. I'm going to try and do that, certainly for the rest of the summer. I was going to say for the rest of the year, but then there is something in particular that I very much want to make. I'd like to make it my Christmas knit. I've got a Christmas sweater in mind, but I'd like to make this to wear at Christmas time or New Year, and I will have to buy yarn for that. I know that because I haven't got anything suitable. So I'm trying to work from stash, apart from for that one project, which I'm going to allow myself to buy yarn for. So I'm doing well with the yarn destashing, if you like, or stash reducing. I didn't last year, so I'm quite pleased with myself this year. I think that's everything I had to... Oh no, it's not. Oh my goodness, how could I forget this? I've been given a present. I have a very lovely friend, Jane, who we Zoom. She's part of the knitting Zoom, and we Zoom probably 5 days a week, and then sometimes at weekends as well, and sometimes very quickly in between times if one of us needs to ask the other one something. So yeah, she's become quite a good friend. Well, she's become a very good friend actually over the last few months, because now I think about it, I've only known her less than a year. She won my first ever giveaway. That's how I met her. I've never actually met her in person because she's in Scotland and I'm right down in the south of England. Yeah. Wow, less than a year. So she's become quite a close friend in quite a short time. Anyway, that's not relevant really. She likes to make project bags. And she likes to make them and then give them away because she has enough, which I think is madness. But she's not like me. She doesn't feel the need to fill every single project bag that she possesses with a project. She's quite disciplined, unlike myself. So she made some project bags, and one of them was this one. And I saw it and I just commented and said, "Oh, Jane, they're lovely, especially the cat one." And the next thing I knew, the cat one came through my letterbox. So she did say that I could keep it or I could use it as a prize, but I'm afraid, I'm very sorry, I'm keeping it because it's got some of my favourite colours in, and also it's got pussycats on it, and it was made by my friend. So sorry guys, you can't have this one. I will make you some project bags as prizes for the knit along, I promise. At some point over the summer, before the end of August, I will make some project bags. I just have to kind of unbury my sewing machine from the project bag mountain with all the whips in at the moment, but we'll get there. So yeah, so this was from my friend Jane, and I love it very much. The only reason it hasn't got a project in at the moment is that I wanted to show it to you, and also I'm thinking I should put it aside, and then what I like to do for the cast on party is start gathering all the materials together, the needles, the yarn, the pattern, all ready to go. And I've got still a month before I need to be ready. So that definitely is everything. I'm sure that's everything now. I can't believe I forgot that. I was going to show you that at the beginning and I nearly forgot it altogether. And I've written it down. Useless. Right, I'm going to go away now and I will see you next week. And until I do, happy knitting.